ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for being with us. So next speaker is Ms. Iulia Malioukis, Senior Manager, Digital Innovation for Horvath and Partners. And she has a very lovely presentation regarding the role of IT and how can IT actually support the business or act actually as a part of the business. Iulia, thank you very much for being with us. How are you?
Very good. Thank you very much for the invitation, and I'm happy to be here digitally. And I'm looking forward to present to you some insights also from a study we have been performed with several CXOs, so CFOs and CEOs, on the topic of digital transformation.
Floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Hugo. So maybe just very short about myself. I'm Iulia Malioukis, Senior Manager, Digital and Innovation with Horvath for more than 10 years now. I have been doing several projects on transformation of organizations with focus on strategy and innovation locally, but also internationally. And my lighthouse projects are related to innovation hubs and accelerator programs, but not only, also digitalization of processes in different functions and management of IT costs. Before I jump into the subject, I would like to give you a brief overview of Horvath. We are experts, we are a management consulting company and experts in performance management, supporting the organizations in their transformation journey. And this year we are actually celebrating 40 years of existence with over 1,000 employees worldwide, with a presence focused mainly in the German region. Stuttgart is our headquarters, and also in Hungary, Romania, Middle East, and latest also in the USA. Our solution offering is including projects from idea, from design, from concepts to implementation, to transformation, through all the functional areas from strategy, organization, processes, sales, operations, controlling and finance, and IT, of course, with the main objective of increasing the performance of organizations. And we are present in Romania since 2005, nowadays serving actually all of the main industries in the country. Digitally, we have a mission, let's say, to drive the digital transformation. The Horvath digital team focuses on defining what is the strategy, what are the products, how do I define a customer journey, how do I design the architecture, and how do I manage large digitization programs. And we have an ecosystem of digitalization experts from different disciplines. So we combine, let's say, this technical expertise with the business understanding, which sometimes lacks. And we have also a steering lab focusing mainly on AI and analytics and all these, let's say, digital engine subjects in Munich, which is developing different solutions. Also in this mission, we look at the digital transformation of specific functions, a lot in the digital finance, how I can do my finance processes better, more efficient, more digitalized, how can I use analytics here, in procurement, in IT. So we have different references here with companies at global level. And also we look at the end-to-end processes from idea, innovation, until it goes through the whole value chain and the service or product, a new product is defined. So that's about us. Now, we have looked into a study. We had a study, we had dialogues with more than 250 CXOs at global level. The result of the study, which was performed the second time this year, was that digital transformation is the top priority on their agenda. the second time in a row. Last year it was the same. So they all agree it's about digital transformation. And what we have seen is that during the year and during the last 18 months, there has been an acceleration ongoing, and also the maturity of the organizations are different, even if they differ also between industries. So while we're still fixing the basics like data management, others are trying to monetize already data-driven business models. And of course, the CIO is the one responsible for implementing the digital transformation. If we look more into detail, this study results reveals priorities for digital transformation. And we have seen a predominant priority on digitalization of the value chain, focusing, of course, on efficiency and productivity. But the digital top line growth by new business models and products is still not sufficiently considered. From our point of view, there is much more potential here to be harvested. So we think that digitalization is still understood as a technocratic exercise, because we see that there is hardly invest also in mindset and skills, which is quite important in order to enable this economical digitalization. But on the other hand, there is a positive impact regarding this strengthening of digital organization. So it's actually a first sign of systematically harvesting the payback of taken investments in the last few years. Nevertheless, also a result from our study is that the pace, the speed of the transformation, of the digital transformation, frustrates many CEOs, because they must create this urgency in their organizations, and they have to see competitors, how they are capturing new opportunities. So they expect the CIO to create new efficiencies, new value, and new ways to engage the stakeholders. So now the role of the CIO is more one of CEO of the IT organization, because he has to be in dialogue and consider all the stakeholders within the organization, the CFO, the marketing department, the human resource office, the board of directors, and so on. So he's playing a very important role on how the digital transformation is happening in the organization. And in order to overcome these challenges, we see that IT has to be managed like a business. So at the center of this relationship of the IT with the other stakeholder is, of course, the service, which is intangible, short-dated, no material, and experienced subjectively. So the question is, how can we precisely measure and manage something that is intangible? So we have to have a framework, therefore, in order to show the value, the results, and also in this context of increasing IT costs, it's even more important. And for this, we usually have an IT factory framework for the IT, where we look also from an organizational point of view, but also from a financial point of view, let's say, at the IT. So that means we look at the steering model. How is it defined? What types of services is it provided? How is it financially managed, this model, the IT steering model? Are there any steering instruments which are used? And what are the objectives? So there are several questions we have to address. And we have seen also in another study we've conducted locally on the IT factory, exactly this framework, that more than 60% of companies work in a IT structure, in a classic IT structure, which is not agile. So it's somehow in contradiction with innovation and digitalization. So that means we have to look also at the organization and the processes, how it's working. And then from a financial point of view is also important, because we have to, or the IT at the end of the day has to report and to show also what is the value which they bring. So that means I have to have to plan my initiatives, to have a product catalog for the services I offer, to have a proper cost allocation framework in place, to be able to report the results in a specific way. So that means, and what we have seen, the main challenge in this aspect is actually, and where the business is coming, okay, how can I see what are the costs, my costs on the products, on the business segments I have. Some companies, or most companies which don't have so complex structure, use some golden rules for doing this allocation. But what do you do with the overhead costs, or what do you do in a more complex organization when where you have several cost centers? So what we've seen, this is a hot topic nowadays, even if it's not so cool like the digitalization itself, but it's becoming a topic, especially because there are more and more initiatives. The costs in IT is increasing, and the need for more transparency from the business side is also increasing. So in conclusion, I would say that an efficient IT steering optimizes the value of the IT according to its business purpose. So I have to also measure the performance I have. I have to have this results-driven reporting in my IT organization, especially because at the end of the day, it's not only it's a value bringing business, and this has to be also showed accordingly. And also, what was my main point is that there has to be a strong business orientation, because the IT and the CIO or the CTO who is managing that has to manage all the stakeholders, to understand their needs, to understand how it can properly deliver the services they need in order for the company to deliver at its also its services or product. So there is a need of a lot of transparency and standardization, and a lot of focus on performance management in order to drive, let's say, to help the CIO function to make also this value of the IT visible. I was just looking in one of the Gartner's insights, and they were also saying that one of the main points on the agenda of the CIOs was actually to educate all the stakeholders on what is the value of the IT and its services, and therefore you have to have behind a very clear business product catalog in place, the services combined in a way that it addresses the needs of the business, because they are in the end paying for that, and having all this, I would say, financial perspective in place in order to be able to manage it also like a business. So, and here we use all our experience and standards from what we know best, performance management. Here is where we come and say what is needed in order to have a proper planning, in order to have a proper reporting, in order to have how to group the services in order to define a product catalog, which makes sense also from an IT perspective, but also from a financial perspective, and also how I perform this allocation of costs, of IT costs in the end, so that they are seen as, they are accepted by the business owners. So that was from my side. a bit of insights on the study, a bit of insight of the administrative, let's say, subject, but though important.
Well, Iulia, thank you very much. There are very good ideas, and let me ask you, just for my curiosity. So, what is in your opinion the most important KPIs for an CIOs or for an IT department when it comes to the operational KPIs, like keeping the lights on, versus the agility, versus innovation, versus providing business values?
Yeah, that's a very good question. I think here we have to make a difference between everything what is run the business, yes, where it just has to be, it has to work,
Yep.
and there it's more about yes, keeping it work at the level it should do, and then I have everything what is related to the change or to the innovation engine. Because we call it like innovation engine and performance engine. These are the two subjects we use. Of course, there is something it's more focused on innovation, on ideas, on implementation, on technologies used, and I think it depends from industry to industry, but this is how we would split the KPIs. It's differently, and this is another dimension which adds to the head of the CIO. Yeah, he's not only managing the run, but he has also to be involved in the change.
It was kind of a tricky question because, well, honestly, okay, the operational KPIs are crystal clear, or it's visible, it's minutes, it's seconds, it's a number of tasks and so on and so forth. But when it comes to agility, when it comes to the business value, also there are KPIs that could obviously, and as you said, could be measured and is absolutely clear, and it depends on the company, on the industry. Yeah. Just another curiosity, so you say that you are helping companies to build the catalog of services, the IT services. Yeah. This is one of the hard part for the CIOs, because we know, for instance, in my opinion, everybody knows how to create, and we can, but what is the response of the business when you tell them that, for instance, creating an account in Active Directory, or just a simple, it should be done in 4 hours? And what is in general the reaction of the board, of the C-level, our partners, when you come with the catalog and you split all the services and you quantify them in terms of money? What's the feedback? Is it too much, or what's the reaction in general?
Here, it's also a good point. Yes, of course. What's relevant? Usually, in the IT, we can have 200, 500 services. Sure. So it can be a long list, yes. But from a business perspective, in order to be digestible, you always have to, and this is what we do, we group them to, I don't know, workplace, yes, everything what's related to workplace. So it's like they are buying the service, including everything, including also the infrastructure, including all the services they need in order for an employee to use a laptop. So I think it's important in this definition of the business catalog, of the service catalog, to add this business view on what is needed. And actually you don't have two catalogs, you have the same, but what's for the business is grouped in order for them to be able to understand it. Otherwise there are always discussions which don't finish.
Iulia Malioukis, thank you very much for being with us. Thank you very much. It was a lovely presentation. Thank you, Horvath and partners. Yep.
Thank you.
We'll be back in a second.